Welcome, I'm Julie, and the first thing I'm going to do is go through the supplies you need to make the following class kit in this bracelet that I call Blue Trellis. And so I'm going to show you what's in the kit if you purchase it. You'll get a pastel palette, you'll get bags of bead selections that you'll use in the bracelet, you'll get all the pre-cut shapes. You're going to have these sponges to put pastels on and a template if you wish to follow the patterns I'm going to use on the beads. The things that you need to supply, and then I might be optionally showing some nail polish on this. So I think I must have gotten this at the dollar store. It's just an iridescent blue. And so the mold I'm going to be using is the white Shrinkets domed mold. And then I'm going to be putting my leaf beads in this pink hand-forming bowl. And I sell this on my website. And the website link is in the description, as well as being able to purchase the class kit. That's in the description, link to that also. So you're going to want fire line cutters because there is fire line included in your kit. And then I'm going to be using some colored pencils to implement the designs on this, as well as the pastels. So these are in the shades of blues and turquoise colors and bright greens. And then I'm not sure, I got my Posca markers out, and I may be using those as well. We'll see when I get into the design. So this will be an option. And then a beading needle. Plus, you also need your heat gun, your craft heat gun. This is a 320 watt. So let's get started. I'm going to start coloring. I'm starting with the pastel, so I've got a wet rag and a dry rag to wipe my fingers off, and the sink is nearby. So I'm going to start up in the corner, and how I'm going to do this is I'm going to use the pastels to I'm going to do some overall shading, and then I'm going to use this tool to actually define some lines, like so. The little makeup sponge. I'm going to mix some of the yellow with the green. Oh, wait, I'm coloring on the paper. Okay. This is why you want to have your paper there. I mean your cloth. There, I'm just gonna go off to the side and wipe off any excess, so that's good. Now, this one. Mixing a few of the colors together, blending. Off to the side. Going over, blending just this tiny bit of dark blue in there, so I get a variegated color, and then just a little bit of the green on that, so I get different colors on that. Over to this one here. Gonna come in with the dark blue. And then the light blue in here, it's got a little bit of the green on it, that's okay for my blender. Green, darker blue in there. Switch out, make sure that's clean. These little makeup sponges can be washed and reused too. I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to go over here and on paper and just do these tips. Okay, and one more. I'm on the frosted side, so let's see. I'm coming on this side of my sponge. Bring it over here and find my green and just gently go here on these sides. Set that aside. Now I'm over here. And this one's going to be fun because I can do plaid. So I'm going to start with the yellow mixed with the green. Whoops. And then over here. And the other plaid lines I will put in with pencil. So that's fun. Right here, I'm going to come in with this light blue. And come in here with this, pick it up, do green on my tips. Dark blue. Medium blue. There. And then to my leaves. And it looks like I'm missing one. One always goes rogue on me. Just gonna go from light to dark on this. we've got our plaid shape. I need to get some contrast in there and make sure I wipe off any extra. Keep my fingers clean. And continue. Get that a little bluer, that line. And then flip it over here where it's a little cleaner and do those. And then on this one, I'm going to come in and add a deeper blue to that tip. Come in here with the deep blue. Sorry. And on this one, green. Lots of yellow, and then blue down here. So I get this nice, a little darker blue down there, variegated ombre effect. And then this one here. And then this one here, looks like I've cut this a little smaller than the rest. That's okay. It'll all come out in the end. There, I just did a variegated background for this. So the pastel part is done. I'm gonna set that aside, make sure my hands are really clean and my station's clean. And we're gonna go in with colored pencil. Gonna start up in the corner and my fingers over this, blend any of this in, put nice, I'm coming with a nice sharp pencil line. Lost my tip on this. That one's done. We're here with this one. These are a little off. That's okay. Just want the colors to almost appear like out of focus, while the colored pencil remains crisp and true. These little X's don't show up, but when it's shrunk, they will. So then little dots. And this one. Come in with the nice. done coloring them, and now I'm going to outline the perimeters of all of these. And if you don't have a steady hand, just skip by this step, because it'll just be the outline is just a different look. So I can go really light with my outline for a tone-on-tone look, or I can go for a deep contrast with a darker color. If I go with green, my colors will be a little greener. And if I go, like I said, the blue ranges, this will be kind of a tone-on-tone, and this is my darker outline option. So I think I'm going to go with the darker outline. If you have a less steady hand, but a pretty steady hand, go with a tone-on-tone, because if you're crooked, it won't show as much. Just your mid-range here is nice. So these would be my selections, and maybe I'll just change my mind and go with a tone-on-tone, since I think the majority of you will probably be picking the tone-on-tone. And if that's, you choose, if you go with blue or green, this is more towards the green range, and this is a cooler blue and an even cooler blue. So whatever you outline in, your piece will go a little bit more in that direction. So I think I'll choose the mid-range. So when we do an outline, I broaden my tip, burnish it out, and get a nice broad tip on here. And then I go right around the perimeter. And I'm just going to show doing one and then one leaf, so you get the idea. And then I will do the rest of these off camera so that I don't get redundant. If I have to come over here and keep burnishing, because if my pencil hits the edge, it can put a little indentation in it. And I want to keep it nice and broad. I don't want to go little chicken scratches like this. You don't want to do this. You want to keep a nice smooth stroke when you do this. And if you have to go over the stroke a couple of times like this, that's okay. But just don't see if I do little jiggy lines, it looks that way on the piece. It looks like little chicken scratches. And then the other option is you could just do them all in any different color you wanted. You didn't have to do them all in one color. So I'm going to do the rest of these off camera. I'm going to do one leaf so you can see how that goes. Leaves are pretty easy. There. And that's how you do the border. So I'm going to add one more option that I'm going to show you. Now, you don't have to do this, but this is a bracelet I had done earlier. And these colors here in your kits, they're either going to be this gray-green, or they'll be a more celadon green. So you could, I've got these two choices. I don't have exactly this bluish gray, but I have a cool gray. And so I'm gonna show you that my kit here has the other option. It's this more celadon color. So if your kit has these cooler ones, this is a nice gray. This is an option I'm talking to use for accents. And in mine, this would be a nice color to add accents onto the beads. After I'm all said and done, I might go in with these little accents. So I'm gonna sharpen this and just put these on some of the beads to bring that color in. And I won't be following my pattern. I'll just be putting these out, adding these to the patterns where I see the opportunity. And it looks like I forgot to outline that one, so I'll set that aside to outline. And this is nice to put it over the dark. Well, it looks like I made two different choices there, so I'm just going to come out with Starburst there. And here, coming through the center, here, and as I said, this is an option. Notice I'm allowing that to be crooked. It's just the whimsy of it. So these, I will put them in the centers. I mean, if you're not whimsical, then, I mean, if you like precision, then just do them precise. I know when things shrink down half their size, the drawing tightens up. Okay, on the leaves there might not be as many options, but I will go and explore anyhow. There. Okay. Did I miss this one? No, I didn't. Okay, so let's get started shrinking. I've got all my little pieces done over here. And these are ones that are extra that I had done earlier, and I'm going to show you. This is when you shrink them with the shiny on the inside. And then these were outlined with a darker blue. So I had mentioned the Poscas. So you've got these shades of colors that you can use in the Poscas, and this is an option, okay? So if you want, you can come in with little details like little tick marks on your edges. And when possible, you can outline the whole thing, but you can just do, the Poscas are really nice for using on the outlines of to do the edges of our beads. So that gives you a fun option with those. And here is outlining the entire edge of the leaf bead. And be careful because you can touch the wet paint and get it all over your bead. So I'm going to lay this down, and when this is dry, I'll do the other side. Now, I had also talked about using nail polish. The nail polish, here's one that's frosted. I like it best on the frosted side. So I'll show you, this is it before, and then this is it after. And that's just really glistening and fun. So I am going to choose to use these techniques on my pieces. Since I did frosted on the inside, then I'll have this wonderful glistening glow in there. These are my pieces that aren't part of my design. These are, really brings out the colors, the nail polish does. And this color of nail polish is perfect for my bracelet. I'm not going to do it on the leaves. Just my flowers. As I said, these are options. So before you start beading, you will really want to make sure your nail polish is cured. So go have a cup of coffee. This just really brings this one out. There. Okay, and I haven't decided if I'm going to do Posca on these or not, but I have shown you the what you can do as options. Okay, I'm going to let those dry, and we will be stitching. So we're doing the white mold, and you can decide, you see that on these, we're looking down into the cup of the bead. So if you want to see frosted in there, put frosted up where you can see it. If you want to see shiny in that cup, put shiny up. I'm going to go for the frosted look on all of them. You can go back and forth and do some one way and some the other way, but I'm going to do all mine frosted facing up. Now we go with our heat gun, and I'm going to go around the perimeter. I like it when you go straight down, but you can't see me when I'm doing that with the camera facing at the angle it is. So I'm going to shoot off to the side like this, but as I said, I like it when you go straight down. And I'm about a ½ inch above the bead, and I shrink around this perimeter of the bead. Starting to shrink. Then I'll keep my heat around that perimeter. This is when it's okay to go out to the outside. And I'll lift it up if it gets stuck. Kind of looks like it's getting stuck. And down again to make sure it's totally heated. And come in and put my pin down on there. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. On this one, you can use either side of the pin. Doesn't matter, this side or this side. And there we have our bead. And you can see how the pastels creates this really pretty, lovely look. So do all your flower beads like this, okay? Now I'm going to show you how to do the leaf beads. I'm going to put the leaf beads in here, and then I'm going to pick them up while they're warm, and I'm going to twist them. I'm not going to go this way. I'm going to twist them elongated, keeping it so it makes a elongated swirl, not a horseshoe. If you curl like this, you'll get a weird little J shape. Okay, so it just is ever so slight. And a bowl is nice because it'll fly all around the table. And you'll be chasing it down. So this is my hand forming bowl. And these are little and they shrink fast. Flip it out and then just gently curl. And it's so tiny, it's not that warm. Sorry about this little bruise on my finger. There. And that's how you're gonna do those. You wanna make sure that you're not smushing or curling this too much, because that's where your hole is. So do all your leaf beads. This is the next sequence of beads to lay out. These are for our loops. And we're gonna do sequences 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the sequence is as such. The 9 sequences, we do an iridescent bead, an opaque bead, iridescent, opaque, bronze, a spacer bead. In between that will be a leaf bead, a spacer bead, that's silver, then bronze, opaque, iridescent, opaque, iridescent, opaque, iridescent. And I've laid out 9 of these in that sequence. Now, for the beginning and the end of this, we're going to lay a sequence out of short sequences, and this will be opaque, iridescent, opaque, iridescent, opaque, iridescent, and then another one. So there'll be 2 like this at the beginning and the end of our stitching. Next, you're going to lay out your beads in a pleasing sequence, and I made sure each bead has a different shape on it and a kind of a different color feel. So I made sure that I didn't have 2 shapes that were right next to each other. So I kind of separated them all out evenly in that pleasing manner with these shapes, these edge shapes, 1 in the center and 2 flanking, and then these are all different in between. And then I laid out my leaf beads. So go ahead and lay those out. And next we're gonna go to our next bead layout. So here is the flower sequence. It has a bead cap, and then you're going to either have a cornflower bead, colored bead, or the clear darker blue bead in your kit. Both will look good, so either or. And then, so you've got enough for the bead caps inside and the large beads, and then you've got sequins for each one and a tiny seed bead. So I'm going to move that out of the way, and now my layout is ready to start stitching, and we're going to be going slow. So we're ready to start stringing, and I have strung this on because it's the best way to show the sequence. But let's talk about the thread first. I have my beading needle, and I put about 5 feet of 8-pound fire line on a beading needle, and at the end of it I tied a stopper bead on and left a tail of about 4 inches. So this will come off. This is just a stopper bead. Then I strung my beads on, and I've strung these so that you can see the sequence. I'm going to pull this apart, and there is a sequence, a pattern that happens here. The beginning, we start with a seed bead, and then we have our pattern, which is 3 faceted beads, and in between them the seed beads, and then 2 seed beads, and then another sequence of 3 faceted beads with the seed beads in between them, and then 2 seed beads. Then we keep this sequence going with 3 faceted beads with seed beads in between them. There's our sequence, and then 2 seed beads. There's our sequence, 3 faceted beads with the 2 seed beads in between them, and then they end with 2 more seed beads. We continue that. There's our 3 right there with the seed beads in between them, and then 2 seed beads. There we are, 3 faceted beads, 2 seed beads, 2 seed beads in between the faceted beads, and 2 seed beads together. There's our group again, 3 and 2, and then 2 together. 3, these 2 between them, and then our 2 seed beads. And then our 3 with the 2 seed beads and 2 together. And then our last sequence, ending in a seed bead as we started. Now, a bracelet, a comfortable bracelet is about 7 and 7¼ inches. And this comes in at 6½. You can see 6.5. Now, to enlarge it, I have added an extra shrink plastic bead and leaf bead, and then you have extras of these if you need to go much bigger. Your sequence will, in the centers, will stay the same. It'll be the ends that'll be a little different. You'll just finish it accordingly. But what I do want to talk about is how I'm handling the adjustment is adding a smaller toggle if you needed a smaller bracelet, and a larger toggle if you need a larger bracelet, and then I've put 3 jump rings in if you need to add that. So that's how our options with handling it. Now, I've strung these on here, and now we're going to, quickly, sorry. What I meant to say is in the sequence of 3 faceted beads with the seed beads in between them, we have, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then the double beads right here, there should be 9 of them. 1 double, 2 double, 3 double, 4 double, 5 double, 6 double, 7 double, 8 double, 9 double. So that's our lineup. Okay, so get this part done. And now we'll go on to the first strand of stringing. What we're going to do first is take pull these out, unrolled away over here. I've got these 2 clamshell knot covers, and I'm going to place one on the end. Notice I'm cupping the clamshell up away. I'm putting that on. I'm not worried about this end. It can come all the way down to the stopper bead. That's the point of the stopper bead. Now I'm putting this crimp bead on. And I've chosen the crimp bead because I could have put a tiny seed bead on there, but I didn't want to risk the tiny seed bead breaking and fraying my fire line. I'm going to bypass the crimp bead and come down through here. And no, I'm not crimping this, just using it as a stopper bead. And this I will want to stay cinched up there. So now we've got that. We're going to set that aside. Set these guys aside for the other end. And we're going to do our first layout. So we're ready to start stringing. And I have strung this on because it's the best way to show the sequence. But let's talk about the thread first. I have my beading needle, and I put about 5 feet of 8-pound fire line on a beading needle. And at the end of it, I tied a stopper bead on and left a tail of about 4 inches. So this will come off. This is just a stopper bead. Then I strung my beads on, and I've strung these so that you can see the sequence. I'm going to pull this apart, and there is a sequence, a pattern that happens here. The beginning, we start with a seed bead, and then we have our pattern, which is 3 faceted beads, and in between them, the seed beads, and then 2 seed beads, and then another sequence of 3 faceted beads with the seed beads in between them, and then 2 seed beads. Then we keep this sequence going with 3 faceted beads with seed beads in between them. There's our sequence, and then 2 seed beads. There's our sequence, 3 faceted beads with the 2 seed beads in between them, and then they end with 2 more seed beads. We continue that. There's our 3 right there with the seed beads in between them, and then 2 seed beads. There we are, 3 faceted beads, 2 seed beads, 2 seed beads in between the faceted beads, and 2 seed beads together. There's our group again, 3 and 2, and then 2 together. 3, these 2 between them, and then our 2 seed beads. And then our 3 with the 2 seed beads and 2 together. And then our last sequence, ending in a seed bead as we started. Now, a bracelet, a comfortable bracelet is about 7 and 7¼ inches. And this comes in at 6 and a half, you can see 6, 6 and a half. Now, to enlarge it, I have added an extra shrink plastic bead and leaf bead, and then you have extras of these if you need to go much bigger. Your sequence will, in the centers, will stay the same. It'll be the ends that'll be a little different. You'll just finish it accordingly. But what I do want to talk about is how I'm handling the adjustment is adding a smaller toggle if you needed a smaller bracelet, and a larger toggle if you need a larger bracelet, and then I've put 3 jump rings in if you need to add that. So that's how our options with handling it. Now, I've strung these on here, and now we're going to, what I meant to say is in the sequence of 3 faceted beads with the seed beads in between them, we have, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then the double beads right here, there should be 9 of them. 1 double, 2 double, 3 double, 4 double, 5 double, 6 double, 7 double, 8 double, 9 double. So that's our lineup. Okay, so get this part done. And now we'll go on to the first strand of stringing. We're ready to start stitching. And we want to double check our sequences, and it's a good thing I'm double checking these, because on these little starter ones, the 2 end caps, you want them flanked by the iridescent, and I don't think I had done that. So add 1 to each end. And now I'm going to thread my needle, and we're going to start with that starter sequence. I'm going to put those on. Got them on my strand here. I'm going to go slowly for you. Now we've got our sequences here, and then we have our doubles. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our needle, and we're coming up through the first double so that our needle is in the center of the 2 doubles. Then we're going to add our shrink plastic bead with its sequence. So it's the shrink plastic, the bead cap, the blue bead, the sequin, and the seed bead. We're going to bypass the seed bead, and we're coming down through our sequence. Going to pull everything tight. Got my tail caught in there, so I want to release my tail. There. And then you'll be cinching all of these along here like so. And mainly the piece that you'll be tightening when you do this is the line we're working on, since the end is still open on this guy down here, even though it's maybe hitting the stopper bead. But I'm going to loosen up my needle and give myself less tail. So that's our first sequence. Now we're going to go over here, and we're going to be adding our longer strands. So I'm looking and making sure that I have my sequence correct, because I don't want to undo anything. So just double check, because you're at an iridescent, an opaque, an iridescent, opaque, an iridescent, an opaque, a bronze, and then this guy faces and cups the bronze, and then the Shrinket leaf bead goes on, and this faces away, so it creates this look. For our first one, I'm going to make sure you can really see the sequence I'm doing, and then I'm picking these up in the reverse. My needle may not be long enough. I may have to string some of those on. So I've got that first sequence on. And I'm bringing it down. I'm going very slowly so I don't make mistakes on this. Now, on this, on these longer strands, we are skipping a double sequence right here. So we're going to have bypass 6 faceted beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're over here at this second double strand of seed beads. And I'm going up through the first one. And then I'm adding another shrinket flower. Shrinket flower, bead cap, bead, sequin, seed bead, bring that down, bypass the green bead, come down through my whole sequence, and then through that second seed bead. In that double sequence. Looks like I've got there. Pull, cinch our collection tight. Okay, so this is our first sequence on there, and we're going to be doing the same sequence next. We'll be skipping this double, so we're going past 6 faceted beads. And that when we add these guys, and I want you to, this strand here, and I want you to double check that you have your sequence correct before you pick up your beads on your needles. Just always double check on this, because this piece is no fun pulling out, and we've all pulled out our stitching when beading. That is no fun. And on this one, you have the luxury of a layout, so you want to make sure that you have that sequence correct. There. So I've got that on there. I'm going to count my 6 faceted beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there I'm at my double turquoise strand. I go with my needle into the center. My needle to the center. There it is, and then I bring over my shrinkets, bead cap, bead, shrinkets, bead cap, bead, sequin, green seed bead. String those on, bypass that green bead, and down through my sequence. pulling it tight, and then coming through the seed bead down through the center, and then the seed bead going out the left side of that. So I've done a little drawing over here. And bring it in close. Just give me a minute here, moving things carefully out of the way to right here. So this is, the blue line represents our beading needle and line. It comes this way through that center turquoise bead, up through the Shrinkets bead, the silver bead cap, the blue bead, the sequin. It bypasses the green seed bead. The path comes through. It comes down through here and out there. So I want to make sure. Looks like it comes down here and out here. See, so this bead line comes out the left and the right side and up through the center. And there. I'm going to hold that there in case it's something you want to stop your camera on and just take a look at that. Okay. Now, I'm going to put things carefully back. I'm trying not to move my tray too much. There. Just go slow with this piece and it'll be a lot of fun. So we're ready for our next sequence. Right here, I double check to make sure that everything is appropriate. And see, I'm glad I did that because the little brass bead had rolled and I may have forgotten to put that on if it wasn't there. That silver bead bead cap cups the bronze beads. And flanks the Shrinkets. Oops. Where did it go? So we've got that on, and what do? We count 6 faceted beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're at our double turquoise right here. We're going into the center. Pulling tight, snug, not pulling and breaking our line. It is 8 pound. And then we're bringing over our Shrinkets collection. We come up through our collection. Got a little blood blister on my finger. Sorry about that. There we are. We bypass our little green bead and we come on down through our sequence. Pull everything snug, and then I'm coming down here and out the turquoise bead, down through the center and out to the left. pull that snug. And then I'm gathering my next collection, and these got messed up, so I'm double checking. Always double check. And if I'm going too slow for you and you've got it figured out, just go ahead and skip along to wherever you want to be in the video. I have just chosen for this particular piece to go slowly through it. So I'm going to count out my 6 beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have my double. Sequence, and I come through there and I add a shrinket bead on, and my whole sequence. I bypass that green bead and I go down. Oh, I messed up. I must not have bypassed properly. That happens. Okay. Yeah, it fell apart on me. Bypass the green bead, down through your sequence and into the center and out the left side of the turquoise bead. Pull everything snug. So we're at the last sequence and we're going to pick up our second end strand, small end strand. So it's the 3 opaque beads and the 4 iridescent beads. We're coming down and then we're right here and we're going to stop. And then the next thing we're going to do is, I've already pre-loosened it, but you go ahead and loosen up your stopper bead and take it off. Now, let's see, get your knot cover and your crimp bead out, and let's go up through the knot cover, okay, facing with the clamshell open and loop facing. It'll be facing away from our bead strand. And then we're going to take the tail that we just took our stopper bead off of, and we're going to run that up through there also. So now they're both up in there. Okay, let's pull that snug. Okay, now both of these are going to go on, both lines are going to go on the crimp bead. So I've got my first one on, and then the other one doesn't have a needle on it. So I'm going to hand string it through there. It's pretty Simple to do. Now we've got the little stopper bead between both lines. We're going to take and bypass this with both bypass the crimp bead with both lines and come out the other side to the bead strand side. Bypass, and I'm coming out the other side. Got a barking dog. Now, I'm going to pull this tight, this whole selection tight. I've got a gap right here. I want to make sure any gaps are taken care of. And what I'm going to do, once I get this done, pull this tight, I'm going to put a knot under this. This knot's not going to show much, and if you want to be double sure, you can go up in here and knot it again. Inside that, I'm not going to do that. I didn't want to get too clunky in there. You could have knotted it in there, but what I'm going to do is now I'm taking off my needle, and I'm going to put it on my tail. Sorry, I had to do the biting action to splay it open. There, got that on. Now, I'm just gonna run that tail up through my line with my faceted beads. Just gonna follow my bead path. Okay. And I'm just gonna go through these two double beads right here, okay? Connecting them. I'm not gonna go up following the path through the shrinket flower. I'm just running this into down into the faceted bead line. And that's pretty snug. I may think that that's far enough down. You can go in as far as you want. I might go a little farther. Got quite a bit of tail there. Okay, now I'm just gonna cut that. Now that's hidden and everything's really secure. That's why I wasn't that concerned with the heavy-duty knotting there. And then we're going to rethread our needle, and we'll be ready to do the other side of our bracelet. Ready for our next round. I'm going to finish up the other side of our bracelet. It just goes pretty much the same way, except now we won't have any short ends. We're down to all of our long lengths. So we'll be stringing those on the same, and you just want to double check. And it looks like I've got a little iridescent bead that's missing. Must have rolled somewhere. So that's why I have you double check. Oh, there it is. Double check. Putting that sequence on. Same way as we did the first side. Going to be doing this all the same way. And I'm just going to showcase the whole thing. If you don't want to watch this part, just skip to putting the clasp on. But for those that want to watch, I'll be showing it. Okay, so we're creating that loop and we're counting, you know, our 6 faceted on this line. It remains the same, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The beauty of this side is we have no choice. We're right there adding to the only double seed bead sequences on the faceted strand that are available. Pull snug, bring over our shrinket sequence. And that goes just as we've been doing all of them. We bypass that green seed bead. And down through our sequence. Then pull. Doggies are having a drink. They got their 100th snack for the day to kind of hope the whining stopped. They want constant attention. So we're at this point again where we go down through the center of our turquoise beads and out to the left side, right there. And I pull that snug. Looks like as careful as I was, I did get a little gap. I hate that, but it's inevitable, I think. You don't want to pull it so snug that it curls on you. But you don't want it all loosey-goosey. As always, double check your strand here so that your sequence is correct. There. And then I count my 6 faceted beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm at this double strand. I go into the right side and through the center. So I guess it's okay that I have a tiny gap in there. It gives me, I'm not having to really force the needle. I've got a little room to work. But with beading, we strive for nice, tight looks. I've got a rogue green seed bead. It went somewhere, so I'm getting a new one. Bypass the little green seed bead. If you've watched some of my videos, you know that I'm not always relying on Miyoki perfect beads. Sometimes I use little Czechoslovakian beads and they can be a wonky, and I kind of like that wonkiness. It gives things a whimsical look. Other people may hate that and say, Julie, put those wonky beads in there and replace them with my Miyokis. That's your preference. So out, down through the turquoise matte seed bead. Pull our little selection tight. And then we're going to grab our next line here. the way I use, I'm mainly a stringer, so the way I use seed beads and stuff is much more decoratively for color, texture, and size, and not for a precision pattern. Yes, this does have a pattern, but it has a whimsy to it. Okay, we're once again counting our faceted beads. There's our 3, 4, 5, 6. And as I said, on this sequence, even though things are getting really cluttered, it's our only next available section of two seed beads. So I went up through the center, I'm pulling tight. I'm putting on my selection of shrink plastic flower bead. This little bracelet design is about as fancy as I get with a pattern. I have done some geometric beading and some little components, but it's not my field of expertise. Okay, there. Pull that snug and tight. And then on to next one. Double check, make sure that our sequence is all there. Sequence is all there. Then there's our faceted line. So there's our 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there it is, right there. Put that on. Pull tight. Pull snug. Add our very last shrinkets. Bypass our green seed bead down through our collection and down through the center of our 2 little seed beads right here and out to the left side. And pull snug. And then we're at our very last sequence. My dogs will stay calm for about another hour, and then they'll be waiting for their next treat. They have me trained very well. There. Now, we are coming up through our clamshell with this, okay? And then we're stopping, and I want you to do what you did before. I want you to check that all of these are tight. It's going to be hard to remember which ones you did, so we're just going to visually look, and we're just going to pull. Yeah, because you can't, it's hard to remember which ones you did, and that's which ones were the last strand and which ones were this strand, because now it's all one beautiful continuous piece. And we pulled as we went along, so to me it's visually looking really good. Now I'm inside the clamshell, and I'm going to come through my little crimp bead. I'm going to go ahead and put a little slip knot on that because I can, and then I'm going out the other side down into the hole. Good luck with that, Julie. It's really snug in there. Got a lot of thread, and I'm finding my faceted bead line, and that's where I'm taking my tail. Okay, just like we did before. We're gonna hide our tail in this line. Okay, so remember, I didn't go up through the shrink plastic bead. You can if you want to. I'm just coming through my line here. It's hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm going through the faceted bead line. Not the loops. That first line we did. And this can tighten any gaps that you may have. So, right here I'm seeing that this will take care of that loosey-goosey that I didn't like. If I go through quite a bit of this. I think I'm far enough, and I can go farther if I want. You can go as far as in as you would like. You can go all the way to the other side if you want. It's pretty easy to go through these, so I'll just keep going. Probably get to the point where I've met where the other line went through, and then it won't be very feasible to go through because I'll just have too many lines going through those beads. It just serves to tighten it back up again, your main line. And it makes your bracelet really strong. I think I'm almost where I had gone through before, because it just doesn't want to go through. But I shall keep trying. There. And just tightening the gaps. Well, I went all the way through to the other side, and now I'm just gonna cut it. And we're going to get our pliers out and put our toggles on. So here's our, I think I was kind of going off the picture plane when I was running that line through in that last clip, but you guys knew I was just running it back through. So this is where if you need to add more jump, if you need to add a jump ring, or if you've got a really tiny wrist, then use the little one. If you need more space, use this one. This is pretty standard. If you need even just a little more space, add jump rings. And if you needed to just make a bigger bracelet, we talked about that while we were under construction, and I had put extra components in for you to put another strand of faceted beads in, and another half loop or another full loop in, and as I said, the other shrinket beads if you needed to add those. So this is our clamshell, and we're just closing it up over our little crimp beads, and they're all clean and neat in there. And then we have our little loop here, and we're adding this on and closing it. And this is where you could add your jump ring if you needed. And here we're adding this to this side and closing it. And there we have our bracelet. And it's a nice little cluster look.